Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Optics in Action, where we spotlight leaders with vision and clarity. And today I'm really excited and intrigued. We have a special guest. Kevin Dean is the founder and CEO of ManoByte, and we're going to be talking AI and integration and automation of workflows and all that kind of good stuff, which is at the core of people and process. So welcome, Kevin. Excited to have you today.
Ryan. Oh man, I've been looking forward to this. I am so excited to have this conversation. There's so much to talk about right now.
And the world is changing so fast in this area right now that not only we have a lot to talk about, but it's going to evolve probably as we're speaking.
Yeah, man,
The way things are going.
you're not wrong about that. What we're seeing is things are changing by the week.
Yeah.
Like literally every week there's something new, there's a new change. And that is absolutely amazing because we are seeing a technology rate of change faster than we've ever seen in history. And there is no foreseeable slowing down of it.
Yeah. It
Great.
just seems to be getting started. Yeah. So
Man.
tell me, I always like to ask guests, why are you passionate about this? Why are you passionate about ManoByte and AI and automations? Why do you find so much intrigue in this?
Oh man, I- it's been this way for me since I was a kid, right? And I'm old, right? I'm not really
You're
that
not
old.
that old, Kevin. You
I'm
look
not that old. I'm
yeah.
not that old, but like I went to school for I have a degree in computer information science. So, and before school, I was programming, working with computers, doing all that stuff in the 80s, right? So now when when I go to school and then, you learn this stuff and you talk about the theory of data, AI, and a lot of it was theoretical.
Yeah.
And now to be to the point where everything that we have been talking about for a couple of decades is now coming to life and at a man, this is just like, your wish coming true to see, oh man, now let's get into it. Let's really do the stuff that we've been wanting to do for a long, long time. And you have to say this too. I think all of us have, grown up on all sorts of different movies, right? Science fiction, but science fiction is now science reality. And
Yeah.
that's even cool. That's cool too. So there's a lot of reasons why I'm excited about this, mostly because I'm a geek, but but also because of the opportunity of what's to come. There's so much to
Yeah.
come.
Oh, I completely agree with you. Some of it's a little bit terrifying for companies to navigate and to consider, and some of it is incredibly exciting. And there's sort of this little bit of a gauge that's somewhere in between those two things, right? It's exciting and terrifying. So let's figure out how to navigate the middle of that road.
Yeah.
So you're helping organizations to do that.
100%. And you know why people are afraid? It's because people have always been afraid of what they don't know. And things are happening so fast and they're seeing things that aren't in their comfort zone, right?
Mhm.
And things that are kind of pushing outside of the boundaries of the way that we've been used to operating for so long that it's making people fearful. And that's okay, right? I think there will be a time where, oh, this is just old hat and everybody gets it. But right now, it's just everything is just overwhelming, right? And a lack of knowledge leads to fear. And so that's why, what we're doing at ManoByte is helping people overcome their fear by helping them to understand what this change can mean for their organization and help them implement it in a way that gets them to the other side.
Yeah. And what types of organizations are you seeing grasp onto this most quickly or starting to formulate these plans and see the vision and starting to create a plan towards that vision? What types of organizations are benefiting the most from that or embracing it the most?
That's a great question. And that's a debatable question. And the reason why that's a great question and a debatable question is this. Most companies are already and have been using AI for some time. Okay. So let's just put that out there. Like, this isn't new. People have been using it for some time. And so when you read surveys about adoption rates of AI, it can get really confusing because on
Yeah.
one hand, you read surveys that are saying that lots of companies are implementing AI and having mixed results. On the other hand, you read surveys that are saying relatively few people are adopting AI and having results. And the truth is both, which is interesting, this world where you can have both pieces of reality. And it's all a matter of semantics, right?
Hmm.
So what we want to talk about, which people get confused about, is this agentic AI, this generative AI. That's a different beast from what people have been doing in the AI
Hmm.
world for a long time. Add to the complexity and the confusion is that every single company that has any piece of software is going to tell you, oh, we now have AI in our product, right? And so, therefore, by default, if you're using a Salesforce, if you're using HubSpot, if you're using any of the project management platforms that are out there, if you're using Google, right,
Yeah.
you're using Gen AI.
Yeah.
And and it's not wrong, but that is really not what using Gen AI is all about. That's not what using AI is all about. And to make it even more confusing is that everybody and their nephew is now calling themselves a Gen AI expert,
That's
right?
right.
So, so there's a lot of confusion going on in the space. So let's talk about the question, what you really want to know. And what you really want to know are what are the use cases
Mhm.
that corporations and when I say corporations, I'm going to go with mid-sized companies, right? So I'm not talking about your very small businesses, so companies under, let's just say companies under 50 employees. Companies under
Right.
50 employees, I'm talking about companies larger than that and up, right?
Hmm.
So, what we're seeing in those spaces are companies doing two different things. One, they're being selective about, like I mentioned earlier, the internal systems that they already have to leverage Gen AI within their organizations. And that's a smart thing to do. On the far end of the spectrum, now we're talking about companies. Let's take the top tier, we take our Fortune 500 companies.
Hmm.
They are definitely looking to implement a Gen AI strategy that looks at how all of their processes across the board can be optimized and augmented using Gen AI. We're seeing a ton of that. And the companies who really have a quote unquote AI strategy, and there's about 30 of them, they're all technology companies, which makes
Yeah.
sense. If you're not a technology company, you do not and should not have an AI strategy because AI is a tool, right? That's like
Right.
saying, I'm a builder. I have a hammer strategy. You don't
Right.
have a hammer strategy. You have a hammer that you use to build a building, right? And that's what businesses need to have. They need to look at their business strategy and see how can we use these various pieces of technology that have Gen AI, agentic AI built into them to make my business processes better. And that is something that is not happening.
Yep.
That's not happening yet.
Yeah, I think that's a really intriguing perspective on it. So I would say two things that jumped into mind as you were talking. So one, I think you're right. It starts with what is your business strategy and how can Gen AI enable that? The second piece is that especially for companies like engineering firms, I'm seeing some fears and concerns that due to people wanting to take shortcuts from time to time, the fear that a Gen AI, search and response about some structural standards or something like that, that could lead to some errors in designs and things like that. So I think the exploration of, wow, Gen AI is being integrated at such a pace into all kinds of software platforms. How do you create policies around appropriate use and inappropriate use of some of these technologies, especially if you're a design firm or an engineering firm or something like that, where your output is something that other people are going to rely on, and navigating that. So I think those two things, I'm intrigued by your answer on those two things. Number one, how do you propose that people think about their strategy and how AI or Gen AI could fit into it? The second piece would be for companies that are creating a product that other people are going to rely on. How do they make sure to write some policies around that to keep themselves and keep their teams within the bounds of what's reasonable?
Those are great questions, right? And I'm going to take the honest side that people don't like to hear. Can I do that? Is that okay, Ryan?
I love that. 100%. I love that because that's why I do this podcasting stuff. It's like, let's talk about the real stuff that's actually out there, and create value
Yeah.
for our clients and people who are struggling and wrestling with these things.
Yeah.
So
People,
this is a platform where we can do exactly that.
let's do it, bro. Let's do it. So here is the honest truth. And this has always been the case. And AI doesn't change the fact that companies, AI is just a tool, and companies will have to self-regulate or be regulated by a third-party entity. And let's say in the construction and the engineering world, that is not going to happen until something negative happens.
Mm,
Until something negative happens, it's not going to be regulated. We all know that that's the truth. We can say that we're going to be good stewards on our own, but we need guidance as humans, right?
yeah.
But here's the thing. But here's the thing. If we're honest about it, and this is where the fear part comes in, like humans make mistakes all the time, right? Humans get the specifications wrong all the time. But you know what humans also do? We make the same mistake more than once,
Right.
right? We make the same stupid mistake twice. Computers don't do that. They're going to make a mistake, but once you fix the mistake, it doesn't get made again. Doesn't get
Yeah.
made again. And that's an interesting take on it. And so the other thing that I think is this, and this has always been the case. There are going to be good actors and bad actors in
Mm,
the use of AI. That's the case with everything today. You've got
mm,
good companies, companies who do good work, and companies who don't do good work. You can't regulate the companies that don't do good work. But what happens is, and this doesn't exist today, there is no Yelp for AI, right? There's no Yelp for AI to say which tools are good, which ones are bad, which one gives the best results, which ones don't. I envision a future where that will have to be the case, where we can go and say, oh, this is an agent that works well, this one doesn't. But this is so new that all of these things have not been developed yet. But those are the types of things that will have to happen, and they will come. It's just that technology is moving so far ahead of all of the supporting infrastructure. It's like
right.
living here in Tampa, Florida. Like everybody wants to move down here to Florida, but the infrastructure isn't built for it yet. So they'll catch up.
Indeed. So as you look at the types of business processes that benefit the most from AI, what are you seeing in terms of trends in the short term of where
Oh man.
companies can implement AI for those business processes that, is it business development? Is it operations? Is it customer service? Is it across the board? Where are you seeing the most impact right now?
Thanks for asking this question. It is the best question. And I'm going to start with don't believe the hype. And what I mean by don't believe the hype is that all of the hype that you hear about AI is shifting focus away from what businesses should be doing right now with what is available and what's out there, right? So businesses can start automating their processes using AI, Gen AI tools, however you want to call it, right? there's every single process, sales, operations, marketing, customer service, you can start automating and streamlining and bettering those processes right now, today. And you should be, instead of looking for, oh, let's jump, 5 years from now. Yes, there are going to be some cool things that you can do in 5 years from now with agentic AI and things of that nature. But we've been automating business processes for companies for 18 years, right?
Yeah.
Right. And nothing should change. You need to look at your business processes, identify where there's waste and redundancy, and start automating that out today with the technology that you have. Don't try to wait for, oh, what is AI going to do for me automatically? Because the truth is, it's not going to do anything for you automatically until you literally sit down, take a hard look at your business processes, and map out where those processes need to be changed, modified, improved. And
Yeah.
that's harder. That's hard work. That's real hard work, right? And if you think, oh, I'm just going to let Gen AI do it for me, no, it's not. You've got to do the work of deciding how I want to implement it. It's like
Yeah.
we talked about, the builder with the hammer. You got to have the blueprints, right?
Yeah.
If you got to have your blueprint before you go out and start, hammering anything, right? And if you don't, you're going to end up a hot mess. And so
Yeah.
there are so many business processes that could be automated today. There's great tools out there and they have been for longer than Gen AI and ChatGPT have been out there. There are great tools that
Right.
you can use for automating your business processes. Is that the true Gen AI solutions that are out there today? No. But if you take those steps now, you're going to be in a better position to leverage technology in the future, right? But you got to start with the hard work in the beginning.
Yeah, yeah. So that payoff will come over time. And I think that the
It
more
will.
that I'm seeing whether it's Copilot or Gemini or these other types of platforms, the more that I'm seeing the capabilities that they have, the more it's becoming obvious that implementing and starting to use them to build your library or build your notebook, build your, right, the information where the system can start learning to provide you better feedback over time, the the better off you're going to be. So I was having a
100%.
conversation in the last few days about a company concerned that, well, what if we don't upload it in the right structure, and then what happens then, right? Those types of things are things that people are actually wrestling with today. How do you advise that, or how do you navigate that?
That's a great question. And this comes down to an old mindset that people are going to have to kind of get rid of. And that's this structured versus unstructured data, and the way that we've always looked at things from a linear perspective. These language models don't need that anymore, right? They understand, if we give them the right context, they can look for the patterns and make the right assumptions, right? And just like with anything, we're not going to just do something and then roll it out into production. Of course, we're going to have a human in the loop who's looking
Mhm.
at all of this stuff. And then we're going to test it and make sure that it's giving us the right outputs in multiple scenarios. Right. So I think it really comes back to what we started at earlier. You have to have the knowledge and understand that the way that things used to work is not the way that it works now. Right. And if you can get past that and get past the thought that you think you know everything because you don't, all right? And that you need someone to kind of guide you along this new process to help your organization get you to where you need to be, then you're going to be in a much better position, right?
Right.
Because as you were saying, like these tools, they're powerful, but they're just the tip of the iceberg, right? And when you leverage them in a systematic, holistic way, you can have a significant impact on your organization. And if we're honest, we're at this interesting time where technology is advancing, but then we've got these all these other macroeconomic situations that are going on, which just kind of adds to the challenges that business leaders face. Like they're
Right.
afraid to make a move because of the macroeconomic issues, and then they've got this technology that they don't know, right? But really, leveraging the technology will help them navigate through these waters. And I think more business leaders just need to take that leap of faith, with
Right.
the with a guy to help them through it.
Yeah. Well, I've got one other question for you, and that is, so my son's a computer science major at Florida State right now. He's graduating
Go Florida State.
yeah, he's graduate. Well, so that's a risky thing to bring up in Florida, right? Because you might, there's UF people, there's Florida State. But the question is, as computer science, and you mentioned you were a CIS major years ago,
Yep. Yep.
as they're coming out today, what are the skills for the future of people in computers? Because, it wasn't that long ago where there was a book that came out that the future belongs to those who can code, the rest will be left behind. And then 3 months ago, the CEO of NVIDIA stands on stage and says, don't teach your kids to program. It's going to be, not going to be useful in the future. How do people of the future, how do young folks of the future beginning their careers, how do they navigate the right skill sets to work in a career path alongside of AI and technology that's going to evolve at a very rapid pace?
I love that question. I love that question. I've got two kids, 11 and 14, and we have discussions like you do with your kids, right? So one, I think it's super cool that your kid is going to school for computer information science because what it's going to teach him is how to think.
Yeah.
And that's cool, right? And then the other thing is he's going to have a base that others may not have. And that's going to give him a big leg up. Sure, he may not have to write a single line of code ever in his life, but he understands the methodologies and the processes, and that's going to help him in the future. And really, I think that's going to be what will help lots of people in the future. And I'm not worried about our kids.
Yeah.
You- and the reason for that is they're native with this technology. Like my daughter, she's 11. I mean, she's been using Siri, her entire life. My she goes to bed talking to Siri. She wakes up talking to Siri. She gets the questions that she needs answered, right? ChatGPT is just like, oh, this is just what they do and how they work. And then they're like in these virtual worlds, right? Roblox,
Yeah.
by the way, is very cool because it's already prepared them to think in this abstract way of building and
Right.
creating that we aren't used to. And so I'm
Right.
not worried about them for the future. What I'm worried about is the generation, that's here now. Like our kids getting
Yeah.
out of school, they're going to be fine because they're going to move right in without skipping a beat with no
Right.
preconceived notions. Like ChatGPT is just going to be the way that they work and think and get
Right.
things done, right? And they're going to know how to move way past everybody else. And then as technology, the speed in which technology is changing, they're used to that too. It's not a big deal for them. And so they're able to keep up and they're able to use their minds to shift. It's not them that I worry about. So
Yeah.
they're going to be great, right? They're
That's a
going to be
that's a
great.
great perspective, and I think you're right. Like, I look back at my own career, and when I first got out of college, one of my coworkers sent an email to a gentleman in our office that was pretty close to retirement at that time. I'll never forget. He came storming into the office. Why would you email something that you could have otherwise just walked down the hall and talked to me about? He was all upset. And I think that, every generation deals with these types of transformations. And probably within 2 or 3 years, he had retired. And now the kids don't even want to use email. They're like, I don't want to use email, right?
Yeah.
So those types of changes are happening at a pace that we need to accept, and we need to look at and say, it is what it is. How am I going to adapt to continue to thrive in whatever the new environment is?
Yeah. And so my concern is for the business leaders of today because it's not that AI is going to take jobs per se. It's that business leaders are going to make bad decisions that cause a loss and a lot
Mm.
of jobs. There's a
All
difference.
throughout history, that's been
Yeah,
happening, right?
yeah, yeah. It's not that AI took the job. It's just that there were bad decisions that didn't reflect the shifts in society that led to that, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So, well, fantastic, Kevin. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on this episode of Optics in Action. How do people, if they want to learn more about ManoByte, if they want to learn more about the things you're talking about today, where's the best place for them to go?
Yeah. So if you want help with implementing an AI strategy and automating your processes, you can go to manobyte.com and you can find us there. And if you just want to learn more and into what I'm thinking about and what I'm talking about, you can go to my website, kevinjdean.com, and you'll be glad to connect and share more thoughts with you there.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for being on this episode of Optics in Action, Kevin. Sincerely appreciate your time and wisdom that you shared today.
Hey, Ryan, this has been fantastic.
Hey there, my name is Ryan Weiss, and I am the host of the Optics in Action podcast, where we spotlight visionary leaders who bring clarity and innovation to their industries. If you are interested in being a guest, or if you know someone who would be, you can find more information about the podcast and listen to previous episodes at opticsinaction.com. We'd be thrilled to have you on the show and can't wait to hear your story.